And that's why it's so important as we grow and as we become and as we try to reach the highest and best versions of ourselves. We need to see, God, does this thought align with you? Do these words align with you? Or do my wants align with you? Is my vision aligning with you? Because one thing I could tell you, you don't ever want to be outside of God's will. Welcome to the Heart Helper Podcast, a spiritual space where we share extraordinary stories from everyday, ordinary people because we truly believe that inspiration is far greater than influence. Hi, guys. Welcome to the Heart Helper Podcast. I am your host, Jody Shannon, and we are on episode 60-ish, I think. As you guys know, we did start doing Bible study on the first and third Wednesday of the month at 7 o'clock p.m. And as always, we do our regular episodes on the second and fourth Sunday of the month at 12 o'clock p.m. I have taken into consideration a lot of the feedback that I've been getting. And one thing that the listeners, the subscribers, the viewers been saying is, I really enjoy when you do Bible discoveries. It allows me to really go back, read the word, understand this story from a different perspective. So my goal was to do a Bible discovery for this episode. And I've been really enjoying the Bible discoveries because as I learn, I want you guys to learn as well. And I think when we're able to break down some of the most popular Bible stories in modern times and put our perspective on it, but still keeping the truth, that's what's most important. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you guys for sharing my podcast with your friends and with your family. I am so very, very, very thankful. And I think in this season of my life, I am just trying to be obedient. My life has changed significantly within a short time period. And I'm just trying to be obedient. I'm trying to be obedient. I'm trying to do what God's called me to do. And I'm honestly really enjoying these Bible discoveries because at the end of the day, if I am not bringing people closer to God, if I'm not bringing people to really analyze if they are the highest version of themselves, the best version of themselves, what am I really doing? Is my work purposeful? I don't want to be an influencer and tell people, oh, be like me. No, I want to inspire you to be who God has called you to be. I want to inspire you to do the work to get a relationship with God. I want to inspire you to read the word for yourself. I want to inspire you to be a better person, to dream, to pursue whatever it is that God has put in your heart. So, by no means, we're not about influence on this podcast. We're only about inspiration. And I hope every episode that you listen to brings you closer to God, brings you closer to becoming, brings you closer to the highest version of yourself. And that's what we're all here for. So today we are going to be talking about believing people the first time. Maya Angelou has a quote, and I believe it says, I'm not saying it verbatim, but when people show you their true colors, believe them the first time. We have to stop trying to paint a different picture of people when they've already shown us who they were, right? So today we're going to be going over the story of Samson and Delilah. It is a very popular story. We've all heard about it, but I'm going to give you my perspective on it. And of course, we stick to the word, we stick to the truth. So that's what we'll be talking about today. And before we even start talking and getting into the word, I want to take the time to pray because I need God to say what he needs to say. I need the Spirit to move me however he sees fit. So let us pray. Dear God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this word. Dear God, I pray that your spirit just moves through me, dear God. I pray that you say what you need to be said. I pray that people hear what needs to be heard. I pray that the words jump off of this page into the microphone, dear God. I pray that we're able to just let people see the Bible in the light that you meant us to see it. I pray that people are able to receive the message that you want us to receive. I pray that we're able to apply the word to our life. And I pray that we're just able to really just see the truth in these words. I pray that we're able to read between the lines. And I pray that we don't have the word just on us, but we need to have the word in us. May we all carry the fruits of the Spirit. May we not just say that we're Christian, but may we actually have character that depicts that we're Christian. May we walk like Christians. May we talk like Christians. May we listen to the right things like Christians. May we dress like Christians. May we treat each other like Christians. We can't just say that we're Christians, dear God. We want to be able to show the world that we are Christians. May we live by your word and may we die by your word. May we have you on our thoughts and may we always have you in our heart. I pray that the message that you're trying to deliver is received. And I just pray that you have your will, you have your way over this podcast in the name of Jesus. Not only over the podcast, but in my life and anyone that's listening, have your will, have your way in their life in the name of Jesus. So let's get into it, right? So to give you guys a backstory, as I'm sure most of you have read this story or you've heard of this story, but if you don't know and you're new on your journey, Samson was a Nazarite. His parents could not have children, but then the angel of the Lord came to his parents and it's like, okay, hey, you're going to have a child. You are to dedicate him back to the Lord. You're never to cut his hair because his hair was his strength. So his parents never cut his hair. So Samson had an abnormal amount of strength. He was very, 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 very powerful. And his parents, so I think, his dad's name was Zora. And let me see, his wife's name was Manoah. Yeah, so Zora and Manoah. Let me see here. Yeah, so what I want to read here, I'm going to start from 13. So we're in Judges chapter 13, and we will start from verse 3. So I just want to give you guys the backstory because the parents could not have children. And the angel of the Lord, like I said, came to his parents. You're going to have a child. And just to kind of give you the backstory on Samson. So again, Judges chapter 13, verses 3. A certain man of Zorah named Manoah from the clan of the Danites had a wife who was childless, unable to give birth. The angel of the Lord appeared to her and said, "You are barren and childless, but you are going to become pregnant and give birth to a son. Now see to it that you drink no wine or other fermented drink, and that you do not eat anything unclean. You will become pregnant and have a son whose head is never to be touched by a razor, because the boy is to be a Nazarite, dedicated to God from the womb. He will take the lead in delivering Israel from the hands of the Philistines." Then the woman went to her husband and told him, "A man of God came to me. He looked like an angel of God, very awesome. I didn't ask him where he came from, and he didn't tell me his name. But he said to me, 'You will become pregnant and have a son. Now then, drink no wine or fermented drink, and do not eat anything unclean, because the boy will be a Nazarite of God from the womb until the day of his death.' Then Manoah prayed to the Lord, 'Pardon your servant, Lord. I beg you to let the man of God you sent to us come again to teach us how to bring up the boy who is going to be born.' God heard Manoah, and the angel of God came again to the woman while she was out in the field. But her husband Manoah was not with her. The woman hurried to tell her husband, 'He's here, the man who appeared to me the other day.'" So Samson's parents couldn't have children. So Samson really was a blessing to his parents, which is why they dedicated him back to the Lord. And if you read on in the story, you're going to see that Samson was never supposed to cut his hair because his strength was in his hair. And in the book of Judges, there are people that God assigns to deliver the Israelites. So you had Deborah that was a judge, and now you have Samson that's a judge. There was a lot of different judges that were supposed to deliver the Israelites from their enemies. So in the book of Judges, that's exactly what they're talking about. People that were assigned to deliver the Israelites from their enemies. So Samson was one of those people that was literally assigned to deliver the Israelites from the Philistines. So he had an abnormal amount of strength. And the reason why he had strength was because it was his hair. And he was vowed to never cut his hair. And I wanted to really discuss this story in the Bible because a lot of times people show us who they are and we don't believe them. They give us the crayons, the pencils, the colored pencils, the markers, whatever to draw with, and we're still trying to create a different image of the person and of what they show us. And we see here as we get to chapter 16 with Samson and Delilah, Samson had a weakness, and in this particular case, it was a foreign woman by the name of Delilah. So Samson, instead of focusing on what God had called him to do, which was delivering the Israelites from the Philistines, he falls in love with Delilah. Delilah is a foreign woman, and of course, he's attracted to her, he's falling for her, so he is becoming vulnerable. How many times have we become vulnerable to our own desires? Sometimes our own desires will be the cause of our destruction. And that's why as Christians, or even if you're not a Christian, I hope you become one if you're listening to this or watching this, as Christians and as people that are striving to be more like God and less like ourselves, we have to pray, God, please let me desire things that are in your will. Please let my desires be pleasing to you. Because oftentimes when we're living in the world, our desires are of the flesh. And when you desire things from your flesh, God can't give you favor in the things that you are desiring. You want those things. You want that man. You want that woman. You want that job. You want that life. But you didn't go to God and ask for any of those things. You didn't seek God's guidance for those things. You're just desiring them because of your own flesh. And that's why it's so important as we grow and as we become and as we try to reach the highest and best versions of ourselves, we need to see, God, does this thought align with you? Do these words align with you? Or do my wants align with you? Is my vision aligning with you? Because one thing I could tell you, you don't ever want to be outside of God's will. You don't ever want to be outside of God's will. I feel like that is a prayer that you should always have. God, align my wants with your will. And it doesn't seem as if Samson did that. He saw Delilah. I'm sure she was attractive. And instead of him focusing on his purpose, he focused on his passion. Instead of him focusing on his gift, he was focusing more on what he could get from Delilah. So I'm going to read Judges chapter 16. Let's start at verse number 4. Sometime later, he fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. The rulers of the Philistines went to her and said, "See if you can lure him into showing you the secrets of his great strength and how we can overpower him so we may tie him up and subdue him. Each of us will give you 1,100 shekels of silver." So Delilah said to Samson, "Tell me the secrets of your great strength and how you can be tied up and subdued." First of all, if I was Samson, I would have thought to myself, why are you asking me about my strength? First things first, that's off. Why? Like when someone asks you your business and you don't really know them like that, off rip, I'm off guard. Like I'm caught off guard. Off rip, I'm going to be defensive because I don't know you like that for you to be asking me my business. That should have been red flag number 1. But let me continue reading. Samson answered her, if anyone ties me up with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried, I'll become as weak as any other man. Then the rulers of the Philistines brought her 7 fresh bow ties that had not been dried, and she tied him with them. With men hidden in the room, she called to him, Samson, the Philistines are upon you. But he snapped the bowstrings as easily as a piece of string snaps when it comes close to a flame. So the secret of his strength was not discovered. Verse 10, then Delilah said to Samson, you have made a fool of me. You lied to me. Come now, tell me how you can be tied. He said, okay, let's pause right here. Because again, she's asking him, what's your secret? What's your secret? This is red flag number 2. Why do you keep asking me my business? Like, this is how I'm thinking of it. Anyone that asks you your business, I'm automatically going to tell you a story that's not true, because now I know that your intentions aren't pure. You're asking me about my business. Mind the business that pays you. But Samson, again, leading with his flesh, leading with his passion and not his purpose. He is so caught up in Delilah, he's not even recognizing that this is a red flag. At this point, his desire is bigger than his discernment. So he says, the second time he's telling her, hey, this is what you could do to capture my strength. He said, if anyone ties me securely with new ropes that have never been used, I'll become as weak as any other man. So Delilah took new ropes and tied him with them. Then with men hidden in the room, she called to him, Samson, the Philistines are upon you. But he snapped the ropes off his arms as if they were threads. Delilah then said to Samson, all this time you have been making a fool of me and lying to me. Tell me how you could be tied. The third time she's asking him for his business. The third time. Like, Samson, what were you thinking? She asks you not once, not twice, but 3 times. What's the secret to your strength? And you are still entertaining this woman. He should have ran as far as he could, but this is all of us. This is why I love reading the Bible and applying it to my real life. Because how many times have we had someone show us their true colors time and time and time again, but we still entertain them. We still get back with them. We still vouch for them. We still defend them. No, we're in love. No, the job's not that bad. No, they're going to change. No, they're not. They showed you more than 3 times. Why don't we learn the first time? Samson is no different than any of us. So to continue, he replied, if you weave the 7 braids of my head into the fabric on the loom and tighten it with the pin, I'll become as weak as any other man. So while he was sleeping, Delilah took the 7 braids of his head, wove them into the fabric, and tightened it with the pin. Again, she called to him, Samson, the Philistines are upon you. He awoke from his sleep and pulled up the pin and the loom with the fabric. Then she said to him, how could you say, I love you, when you won't confide in me? This is the 3rd time you have made a fool of me and haven't told me the secret of your strength. With such nagging, she prodded him day after day until he was sick to death. Again, she's asking him. And I want to go back to verse 15, and I want to reiterate this. Then she said to him, how can you say, I love you, when you won't confide in me? This is exactly what a narcissist will do. This is exactly what an abuser will do. This is exactly what someone that really does not have your best intentions in mind will do to you. Oh, I thought you loved me. If you love me, you would do this. If you love me, you would take the abuse. If you love me, you would do what I'm asking you to do. This is exactly what a character trait of a narcissist, or this is exactly what someone that is in a toxic relationship, this is exactly what your partner would say. How can you say, I love you, and you won't confide in me? Obviously, Samson doesn't need to confide in you, Delilah, because you're poison to his purpose. So finally, Samson gets so tired of the nagging that he told her everything. So picking back up to verse 17. So he told her everything. No razor has ever been used on my head. He said, because I have been a Nazirite dedicated to God from my mother's womb. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man. When Delilah saw that he had told her everything, she sent word to the rulers of the Philistines. Come back once more. He has told me everything. So the rulers of the Philistines returned with the silver in their hands. After putting him to sleep on her lap, she called for someone to shave off the 7 braids of his hair. So she began to subdue him, and his strength left him. Then she called, Samson, the Philistines are upon you. He awoke from his sleep and thought, I'll get out as before and shake myself free. But he did not know that the Lord had left him. Then the Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes, and took him down to Gaza, binding him with bronze shackles. They set him to grinding grain in the prison, but the hair on his head began to grow again after it had been shaved. For one, it just made me so sad at the end to know that eventually he becomes vulnerable with someone only for her to use his vulnerability against him. How many times have we been in friendships, relationships, associateships, and you finally get comfortable enough to become vulnerable with someone, and then they use what you told them in your vulnerable moment against you. They use that to take your strength or to sabotage you. And the one thing that Samson was supposed to protect, which was his hair, because he was a Nazirite dedicated to God, he let someone get access to that, which essentially destroyed him. And I think as we read this story, we have to be mindful. What is God asking me to protect? Where am I opening myself up too much to people and not protecting what God has put in me? What is your strength? What is your gift? We have to know that everyone does not deserve access. Of course, you got to be loving. You got to be kind. You got to be giving. You got to be forgiving to people. But forgiving does not mean you need to give people access. You can love people from a distance, but not give them access to your sacred space. You have to remember, in Proverbs 4:23, it says, above all else, guard your heart, because everything that you do flows from it. Are you guarding your heart? If you don't guard your heart, your heart gates are open to everything, to negativity, to poison, to destruction, to the wrong voices, to the wrong advice. You have to guard your heart. Do not give everyone access to your heart and to your mind and to your dreams and to your strength. Anytime you give people access to your strength, they will use your vulnerability to sabotage you. They will use what you told them in secret to sabotage you. If you need to tell anyone anything, talk to God. That's the safest place to rest your thoughts, to rest your secrets. Talk to God. People will use your strength against you to make you weak at their benefit. She sold Samson out for 1,100 shekels from the Philistines. So essentially, Samson's purpose was to protect the Israelites against the Philistines. But he threw all of that away when he did not protect his sacred space. He fell in love with a forward woman, and he forgot his purpose. God didn't call you to Delilah. God called you to the people of Israel. not to Delilah. And we have to be mindful of recognizing the red flags the first time. Stop trying to paint new pictures. You're feeling certain things in your spirit about someone or something, and it's for a reason. My pastor said, I was watching something online from one of his Wednesday Bible studies, and he said, your spirit gets downloads before your brain can comprehend them. So when you start feeling something in your spirit, you're like, oh, I feel anxious around this person. Or when you leave an encounter and you feel like, oh, you just feel drained, like you're around energy vampires because they're trying to suck all of your strength out of you. I remember being around certain people and I'd come home and I would just want to sleep. I would just feel so drained. I would just feel so anxious. It's because you're not meant to be around those people. Recognize the red flags. Recognize the red flags. Keep your strength sacred. You have to keep your eyes on the prize, and the prize is the purpose. And Samson also, he lost sight of that. And our desires will do that. So don't let your desires be your destruction. As I read these stories, I'm like, how many times have we lost focus? How many times have we allowed ourselves to get distracted by our desires? I know for sure I have. I can be honest enough to say I get distracted and I am like, okay, well, like I'm distracted with my hair right now. That's falling down. But we easily get distracted when we need to be determined to make it to the mission that God's calling us to go to. And it was just unfortunate that, for one, Samson's parents couldn't have children. They're blessed with this child. They dedicated this child back to God, and he forgot who he was in God. He forgot what he was supposed to do. He forgot who he was supposed to be. And we easily forget that as humans. We're spiritual beings on a human experience, and the human experience often distracts us from living fully in spirit. And I want you guys to go back and read this story for yourself. The story of Samson it's going to start at chapter 13, and it's going to end in chapter 16. So I want to finish up here because we see Samson eventually lost his strength. Delilah got her money, which is what she was after. The sad thing is, when you think people love you and they betray you, that's gut-wrenching. You confide in someone, you become vulnerable with them, and you really think they love you. I can only imagine how hurt Samson must have been. Like, dang, I really loved her. I thought she loved me too. How many of us have thought we were in love, thought the person really cared for us, and then when we finally accept their true colors, we're like, oh my gosh, this person never loved me at all. That's hurtful. He really thought Delilah loved him. He ignored every single sign possible until it was too late. So eventually Samson goes to prison. He has absolutely no strength. And now I'm going to pick back up in chapter 16, verse 25. So now they're like, now at this point, Samson's humiliated. They finally capture him, and instead of him being a man of honor and of power and of strength, now he's being ridiculed. Now he's just pure entertainment to the Philistines at this point. So I want to pick up, let's actually start at verse 23. Now the rulers of the Philistines assembled to offer a great sacrifice to Dagon, their god, and to celebrate, saying, our God has delivered Samson, our enemy, into our hands. When the people saw him, they praised their God, lowercase g, saying, our God has delivered our enemy into our hands. The one who laid waste our land and multiplied our slain. While they were in high spirits, they shouted, bring out Samson to entertain us. So they called Samson out of the prison, and he performed for them. When they stood him among the pillars, Samson said to the servant who held his hand, "Put me where I could feel the pillars that support the temple, so that I may lean against them." Now the temple was crowded with men and women. All the rulers of the Philistines were there, and on the roof were about 3,000 men and women watching Samson perform. Then Samson prayed to the Lord, "Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just one more time, and let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes," because they gouged out his eyes. Let's remember that they gouged out his eyes after after his head was shaved, because he had no strength. Then Samson reached toward the 2 central pillars on which the temple stood, bracing himself against them, his right hand on one and his left hand on the other. Samson said, "Let me die with the Philistines." Then he pushed with all his might, and down came the temple on the rulers and all the people in it. Thus he killed many more people when he died than when he lived. Then his brothers and his father's whole family went down to get him. They brought him back and buried him between Zorah and Eshtal in the tomb of Manoah, his father. He had led Israel 20 years. So we see at the end of this story, despite getting off track, despite being distracted, despite having a moment in his life where he essentially caused himself to be led into destruction, he prayed to God, "God, please hear my prayer and strengthen me one more last time so I could take down the Philistines." And our God is so loving. Our God is so forgiving. Our God is so caring that despite us getting lost, despite us getting off track, despite us being sinners, if we go to God in prayer with a heart that is sorry, that is repentant, a heart that is surrendering, a heart that recognizes wrong, a heart that asks for forgiveness, God will forgive you. And despite how his story started, God had the final say so. They were praising their lowercase g God, but the big God, uppercase, capitalized G, said at the end of the day, "It's still my will that will be done." And he strengthened Samson one last time. And in his death, he killed more Philistines than he did when he was living. And we see here that he ruled over the Israelites for 20 years. So we all have our moments of weakness. We all have our moments when sometimes our own desires lead us into destruction. We're all human. But if you could go back to God, ask for forgiveness, and repent for your sins, God will hear your prayers and still deliver you from the things that you got yourself into. God will close doors that you opened. God will put water on fires that you started for yourself. God will rescue you from wars that you created. God will literally show you how to swim when you made yourself drown. So go back, read that story. I just love how it just shows we're human. And as we read these stories, none of us are too good for God to not help us, to guide us. I don't care how far gone you are. I don't care if you're on drugs. I don't care if you're in prison. I don't care if, you've gone down the wrong track all of your life. If you're living, if you're watching this, if you are listening to this, you still have time. You woke up this morning. You can literally, right now, wherever you are, stop and ask God for forgiveness. God, I know I've been doing wrong. I know my desires have led me to my own destruction. I know that I am allowing my passions to steer me out of the purpose that you've had for me. Go to God with an open heart. Your prayers don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to surrender. You have to be willing to be obedient. So I hope you took something from that. For one, stop painting new pictures. People are who they are, okay? A lot of us have a lot of Delilahs in our lives, and they want to steal your strength. They want you to be vulnerable so they could sabotage you. They want you to be vulnerable so they could tell your business. They want you to be vulnerable so you could lose that spark that you have. Be vulnerable with God. We're vulnerable with everybody else but God. Be vulnerable with God. He's the person that cares. And don't let your desires get the best of your discernment. Stop being foolish. Wisdom is readily available to all of us. Wisdom literally wants to help you. Use your discernment and actually let your discernment be louder than your desires. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I really appreciate your feedback. And I love that you guys have been enjoying these Bible discoveries. I say these are not Bible studies. These are Bible discoveries because there's so much to discover in this good word of the Lord. As I learn, I hope that you guys learn. If you haven't got my book, Out of Comfort into Calling, is available right now. It is a great book if you want to stay on the journey, if you want to go from being to becoming. This book will take you right on your way. I really put a lot of work into this book, and I'm like, for this to be my third book, I'll say I'm the most proud of this one. Not only because it's my first Christian book, I just never thought I'd be in this space in my life where I'm writing a Christian book, where I'm doing Bible discoveries, where I am spreading the gospel. At this point in my life, I feel like I could be like one of those people on the street with a sign, like, honk, if you love Jesus. That's where I feel like I'm at with my life. And looking back on who I was before, I never thought that I would be here. But I am an example that God could change you. If you're willing to surrender, God will change you. So get my book. Be sure to read your Bible. Go back and read Judges for yourself. Read the book for yourself. Read the Bible for yourself. Of course, we know when we go to church, our pastor tells us these stories, but a pastor could only do so much. A pastor could only give you a snippet. You have to go after the word for yourself. You have to be hungry for the word for yourself. Your pastor giving you 2 Bible verses at church on Sunday is not going to get you to where you need to be. I'm sorry. I'm just telling you from personal experience. Read the word for yourself, and it doesn't have to be you reading the Bible in a year. Just focus on reading the Bible to understand. That's it. That's it. Well, this is the Heart Helper Podcast. I am Jody Shannon. Be sure to listen, like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. I do have an event coming up. It is going to be November the 19th. I will provide you guys with some more information, but I do believe that we are the church. So I'm going to be doing prayer in the park here in Georgia. So stay tuned, more details to come on that. So if you are in Georgia, in the metro Atlanta area, you need prayer, you want prayer, you don't feel comfortable walking into a church yet, or maybe you have church hurt and you don't want to step foot back into a church, meet me for prayer in the park November 19th. More details to come on that, but it's been on my spirit to have a day where we are the church. Church is not always a facility. Each of us are churches, and we have to allow people to see the fruits of the Spirit on us. So that event is coming soon. It's been on my spirit. So I'm finally manifesting it, but I love you guys. Stay blessed, stay encouraged, keep God first, surrender, surrender, surrender. And remember, you can't just say that you're Christian. Your character has to prove it. Love y'all. Till next time.